In spite of existing laws upholding the rights of women, there is hardly a day that goes by without a reported case of women being abused or violated. These ugly developments necessitated the establishment of God's Home for Women Foundation.
It stems from a burden for the homeless. I've always had a burden for the homeless. I knew I wanted to open a home, but I really didn't know what kind of home I wanted to open. But as I began to pray, God directed me to open one for abused women. I've also always had a burden for abused women that have been thrown out of their homes. So it kind of links up together.
I take care of the women. When they come in, the first thing they do when they get to the Ministry of Justice, the Domestic and Violence Sexual Response Team, they call on the head of the Women Fellowship, the head of the NGO. She calls me that they have somebody I have to go and take. So I go to the domestic violence section, bring in the women, and if she comes with her children, bring in the women, make them comfortable, take care of their, normally I have to take care of their emotional needs, psychological needs, spiritual needs, and the feeding.
According to the year 2013 Nigerian Demographic and Health Survey, nearly 3 in 10 Nigerian women have experienced physical violence by age 15. Also, 1 in 4 married women experience physical, sexual, or emotional abuse by their husband or partner.
Before we started, I knew that domestic violence was quite a problem. But when we started, I realized that it was more prevalent than I actually thought it was before I started. Because this kind of women that were coming in and all the different stories that we were hearing was so overwhelming. And we have now realized, after a year of opening this shelter, that there is actually a need for this kind of home or shelter for women. Because, well, I don't know about whether it's just Lagos State, but I don't think it is, because we've had a woman come in from Jos.
It has helped them tremendously, because when they come in, they are looking so haggard, devastated. Some of them come without not even a cloth. They just come with their children, feed them 3 times a day, and the counselors come in to counsel them.
With the vision that any battered, displaced, recently divorced or widowed woman has a place she can run to in time of trauma, a place of shelter where she can seek emotional, physical and spiritual care for a time, God's Home for Women Foundation is providing the support and succor for traumatized women in distress.
My husband would want to force himself. That if he sees the girl's nakedness, is he not the father? I said, you can't see her nakedness. She's grown now. You cannot see her nakedness. And it became a talk of war. And before I left the house, a day before I left the house, he invited the girl to the room to come and take apple. And behold, he was totally naked. So the child ran out of the house, was screaming, "Mommy, mommy, my head is big. Please hold me, my head is big." I yelled, I said, "What is it?" He said, Daddy bought apple and went into his room and said I should come and collect the apple. When I got there, he was stark naked.
I was staying with a man. So I had the boy with him. So along the line, it started this attitude of beating and also raping. So it got so severe that I can't bear anymore. And my parents as well, they are not supportive of me leaving the house. His house, his house actually. So that was what actually brought me here.
As a temporary refuge for abused and displaced women in Lagos State, the foundation provides accommodation, food, medical assistance, counseling, vocational training, and empowerment initiatives for women.
We partnership right now with Lagos State, the domestic violence response team. They invite the women to Alausa. They call us, okay. They take the history of the violence or whatever has been happening in the woman's life, and they now get in touch with us. We discuss with them, can we take this woman and all that, and then we bring them in and their families. So most of the people have come through Lagos State.
My husband is the policeman. He used to beat me from morning till night. I don't have any rest of mind, to the extent that I'm not doing any work in his house. I'm a hairdresser. I have my handwork in his house, but he refused to give me my handwork something. See, I will not do work. All my children, I born them at home without going to hospital. So the extent that he do 2 abortion for me. My last born, he asked me to go and do abortion. When I refused to do it, he started beating me with koboko, threatening me with pistol because he's a policeman. I don't have anywhere to stay. When I was going on my way going, one woman had called me that what happened. I explained to the woman. The woman had take me to Ministry of Justice. For Ministry of Justice, they bring me to shelter.
With the nation's harsh economic environment, God's Home for Women Foundation is striving beyond the challenges to rebuilding confidence and restoring hope to women in dire need.
And so for the first 2 weeks or 3 weeks, what we want to do with them is just to pacify them, to make them just come into an atmosphere of peace, come into an atmosphere of love, okay? Come into an atmosphere where they don't have to think of what they're going to eat. So we provide food for them. They don't have to think of where they're going to sleep. So they have a clean bed to lie on. They don't have to think of, in those first 3 weeks, they don't have to think of where their children are going to be. They just need to come in and just sit down and just think of, try to, get better over the sudden change in their lives, because it's a sudden change. What we do here is that we do not allow you to take calls from family members. We do not allow visitors into the house. Okay, we do not allow. We want it to be an atmosphere of just a peaceful atmosphere, a time to rest, a time to think over your life, a time to think of, oh, what's the way forward with me? A time to think, oh, do I want to go back? A time to think of, oh, how can I go forward? Okay, and this is what we achieve during those weeks. Now, as time goes on, okay, we have a 6-month period of time where you can actually stay in the house, maximum 6 months. Okay, and then we begin to look for something for you to do, begin to look for a school around that your children can go to, and then we begin to think of, oh, what's the way forward?
I was this pregnancy for 4 months before the man beat me on the 25th of December, kicked me out of the house and put another woman inside the house. So I have nowhere to stay, walking around. That is where all in friends, the advisor do not even want to listen to them. So in friends now take me to Alausa to come and report her. That is what I came to Alausa, come and report her. They call her from Alausa. I deny that it's not the owner of the pregnancy. So they now take me to this shelter. And since when I went here, when I was pregnant, 6 months, till I give birth in this shelter, and they are taking care of me and my baby, provide for us.
God's Home for Women Foundation needs the support of well-meaning individuals and organizations so that it can be empowered to continue to discharge these humanitarian services by providing peace and a hopeful future in a loving, caring, and secured environment.
We have other plans in the future on fundraising, but right now, most of the funds have come in from the women. Our fullest was when we had about 15 women, I think, and the rest children. So we have 21 beds, but at a point in time, we were almost like 30 in the house. Okay, some have gone, Those have been integrated back into society. They have found jobs, they found apartments, and they're living their lives as usual, as a normal life. We've not had any of the women that have gone back to that place of violence, so they've moved on out. Yeah, basically it's from the funding of the fellowship. We are looking for a place to actually buy. We're looking for a place to buy so that we'll stop paying rent and so that we can have a permanent site. So we need support in getting funds for a new place. We need a lot of money for that.
A place where abused women are rehabilitated and empowered.
I've been here practically for 6 months plus. The first thing I gained was my peace. I was relieved from trauma, emotional trauma, because each time we are in the environment, if he comes back, everybody runs into the house, lock up the door.
Coming to this shelter, I was like, God, where do I start from? Very ambitious from childhood, had visions, but look at everything just ended. But when I came into the shelter and the love, the counseling, that's one part of it. I just started getting myself. In fact, I start seeing a new, I see that I can live up to standard. I can become who I want to be. You know, because they come time to time to give us counseling. In fact, I began to gain my emotions and my stability, and I became confident of myself once again.
But I thank God for today that if not because of this shelter, I don't know where I will have been today. But I thank God that God will be helping those people that brought this shelter to this place, that God will be helping them and provide for them.
Well, you've heard it all. Domestic violence is real and thriving in our society. These are just a handful of women in the shelter that you've heard from. You haven't heard from all of them. And it's a drop in the ocean of the women, the number of women that are going through domestic violence in this country. They need help. The only way we can help them is getting them out of the violent area and home, and replacing them and positioning them into a better place. The first place that they would come to is a shelter such as this, which we need in so many places. Please, we need your help, we need your support, we need funds, we need to bring these women in, stabilize them emotionally, and integrate them back into society.